everybody, I'm glad you're here today. Today is May 29th, 2024. In this video, we are reading from How to Act in Case of War. That's all this video is going to be. I'm going to tell you a little bit what happened to me last night. We had a horrible, horrible storm blow through. Now look, we were under a tornado watch from like all afternoon until 9 o'clock in the evening. But the bad storm came at 11 when we weren't under anything. So go figure. I don't know. But what happened was, there were some people in the area got hail. Some people lost power. What we had was just this massive wind. Y'all, when I woke up this morning, I didn't even hear the storm. I do not know. That is not like me at all. But my husband, Mike, he's like, you need to go check for wind damage. And I thought, really? Was it that bad? I went out in my backyard before the sun came up. I had my flashlight. I was like, holy cow. The whole back end of my chicken coop, I have this big door, had blown open. Of my chicken, guess where the chickens are at night? In the coop, all right? So the door was open, and I thought, oh, heck, I'm going to have to go gather up chickens, maybe dead chickens, all over the yard. But when I looked inside and counted, they were all huddled in there. They hadn't left the coop. I guess they were too scared. So thank Jesus they were all safe and sound. Then I looked over, and my pet chicken, Miss Prickles, y'all, I don't know if you remember her. Her little house, which I have, she's got a nice little setup. Her little house had completely blown off the foundation. One side of it had completely blown off. And when I thought, oh my goodness, she might be dead. I didn't even know. And I looked inside. There she was. She wasn't moving. I thought, that's incredible. So I think if I'd gone after the sun came up, it might have been a different story. But anyway, got everything picked up. I looked out my grill, my Weber grill. That has one of those big drum lids. They're like, they're not light. The lid had blown off, and I was like, I thought, oh, it'll just be right there. I couldn't find it. I could not find that lid. I thought, well, heck, has it blown all the way across the prairie? I was like, I'm never going to find that lid. I looked over. It was over like probably a good 50 feet, 75 feet away in my neighbor's yard across the road. All right. So I don't know what it was. It might have been just a mini tornado, because all of that damage was in a very much southwest, north-south kind of row, where the damage is. Anyway, debris field, whatever. We're okay. We're in for more storms later this week, but for now we're good, thank Jesus. And we didn't get any hail at our house, which is very good. All right, so here we go. We're going to start on this the Latvian government put this out, and we're reading it. And we are on page 31, what to do during a chemical attack, official chemical attack announcement. Okay, this should be very interesting. I haven't read things like this before. I will also encourage you to tune in to NY Prepper and Canadian Prepper. They're doing some really good news updates about how the tactical nukes have been moved to a border. I'm not going to say the countries, y'all, because this platform does not like me to do that. But and also our country, the United States, has taken out 2 nuclear radar is it facilities? Radar is part of their nuclear triad in the Bear Country. We took out 1 last week and 1 over the weekend per the country where the proxy war is happening. Okay, so yeah, that's not good. All of those things are not good. And I've also noticed every time there's exercises, we're doing exercise, we're doing an exercise here and an exercise here. And I honestly think that's just deploying military just to get ready for it to all pop off. That's my opinion. What is your opinion? I would love to know. I would also invite you to write down any prayer requests you have. We will pray for you. All right, let's go. What to do during a chemical attack. Official chemical attack announcement. Chemical weapons are extremely toxic, but their use cannot always be quickly detected. Therefore, it is important to follow the announcements in the official sources and strictly follow the instructions given. Notifications must contain the following information. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Statements about signs of chemical weapon use. Main characteristics of identified chemicals. Okay. There's small print here. The region where they have been used. Recommendations on how to prevent injuries and provide primary care. Ways for victims to get help as well as emergency phone numbers. Instructions for people who need to evacuate from the affected area. Generic chemical weapons warning messages are common to all chemical categories. Once the use of a specific chemical weapon has been approved, official announcements and guidelines will be detailed. All right, if you will notice, y'all, if you will look at the print of that page, it is copy and pasted. So some of the guidelines are in print that I swear is probably 6, the font size. Anyway, that's interesting. That sounds horrific, actually. All right, let's go to the next page. This is signs of the use of chemical weapons. If you are in a combat zone, pay attention to the following external signs that may indicate the use of chemical weapons. 2 or more people become incapacitated for unknown reasons. Liquids, powders, vapors of unknown origin are found. Incomprehensible smells or tastes. Unknown, non-owned materials, devices, or equipment are found. Rapid mass death of small animal species such as birds or insects is observed. Physical symptoms of massive chemical damage are observed. Read more about physical symptoms below. Any of these signs could indicate the use of chemical weapons. The simultaneous presence of several symptoms indicates an increased likelihood that the incident is related to the use of chemicals. Immediately report the observation of such signs to the Unified Emergency Number, call 112 per Latvia. Attention, if you suspect the use of chemical weapons, react appropriately to minimize possible harm to yourself and others. Do not put yourself in danger. Okay, that's good. Next page. Priority actions in chemical contamination areas. What to do if you are near an area affected by chemical contamination. Okay, if you are outside, leave the affected area. The less time you are in contact with chemicals and the further away you are from the epicenter of pollution, the less the impact of chemical pollution will be. Try to move quickly, but don't run. Breathe calmly and slowly to inhale as little poison as possible. Go to the nearest shelter. Return home if possible. If you are indoors during a chemical alarm, here's what to do. If possible, go upstairs and find a room with as few windows and doors as possible. Chemicals are usually heavier than air, so the air in the upper floors of the house will be cleaner. Reduce the flow of air from the outside. Close windows, doors, vents, and anything else that allows air to enter the room from the outside. Do not eat or drink anything that may have been affected by the chemicals. Turn on the news on the radio, TV, or follow them on the internet for the latest health and safety information. You will be notified when it is safe to go outside. If you are in a car and cannot leave the affected area, reduce your chance of exposure to chemicals. But that's good stuff, y'all. That's good information. Here we go. We're keeping on going. Stop on this. If you're in your car, stop on the side of the road so as not to stop or impede the movement of emergency vehicles. Turn off the engine and close all possible hatches through which air enters the car from the outside. Starting the engine and driving will draw outside air into the car and expose you to chemicals. I'm going to read that again. Starting the engine and driving will draw outside air into the car and expose you to chemicals. To reduce the amount of chemicals inhaled, cover your mouth and nose with a cloth such as a scarf or a handkerchief. Listen to further instructions from emergency personnel at the scene, or listen to the news on the radio, or follow official news sources on the internet. Symptoms of a chemical attack and priority safety measures. The main physical symptoms that indicate the use of chemicals: miosis, excessive narrowing of the pupils, disorientation and sweating, twitching and convulsions, irritation of the respiratory tract and difficulty breathing, eye or skin irritation, nausea and vomiting, loss of consciousness. What to do if you observe symptoms of damage caused by chemicals or think you have been in contact with a chemical up to 15 minutes after the incident. Here's what you do. Take off the top layer of clothing. If possible, put the clothing in a bag and seal it tightly. Place this bag in another airtight bag and seal it with tape. If you observe symptoms that appear after contact with corrosive or irritating substances, such as redness, itching, or burning sensation in the eyes or on the skin, rinse them with water. If the eyes are irritated or feel burning, rinse them with running water for 10 to 15 minutes. Do not use soap. Do not touch other people to avoid spreading chemicals. The damage caused by the chemical cannot be passed on to other persons. It is not a contagious disease that is spread by coughing or sneezing, but chemicals spread further if they get on skin, clothing, or hair. Humans can spread chemicals through bodily fluids. If another person comes into contact with this substance in this way, that person can also be harmed. When people who have been exposed to a chemical remove their outer clothing and wash, most of the chemicals are washed away and the chance of further spread is greatly reduced. Evacuation from areas affected by chemical weapons. When evacuating from areas affected by chemical weapons, wear clean, tight-fitting clothing that covers the body as much as possible. If possible, put on goggles. Oh, that's a good idea. If possible, put on goggles, a mask, a hat, gloves, and a raincoat. If you have to go to a shelter, prepare water, food, and emergency supplies. Find out in time how to prepare your home for emergency situations. In places where the activity of chemical weapons has been observed, the danger remains for a long time, from several hours to several months. Do not return to this area without permission from emergency services. And that's hard. Okay, so action in the combat zone. Okay, we're going to keep going here. What I want to say about the chemical weapon thing, y'all, I didn't know a lot about that. What had you been familiar with that? I lived by a train track, and obviously I've thought about if there was a derailment and evacuation or whatever. But that was great. A lot of it was the concept of fallout, nuclear fallout procedures. So I have heard and studied things like that. How to, if you get contaminated, how to, proceed with that contamination. It reminded me of at the very beginning of the virus that was worldwide, we had that kind of procedure when my daughter, who's a nurse, an RN, when she worked on that virus floor for a year and a half, and so when she would come home, that especially right at the beginning, it was take it all off, put it in a bag, go get in the shower. That included shoes, especially shoes, everything, and so that's what we did for a long time. Okay, action in the combat zone. During a military conflict, many factors will work against you, including emotions. I kind of want to say, no crap, Sherlock. I mean, I don't mean to make light of this. So, and the more I read, the more serious it gets. I'm not going to lie. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, this is worse than I even imagined it might be. If Latvia is telling their citizens this, this is serious. That we're in serious trouble. And I know we have Christ, so I know we're not afraid. I get that. But at the same time, I'm human. I don't know about you. And sometimes I get a little nervous. Reading this makes me just a tad bit nervous. How about you? Okay, here we go. We don't have much time left. Okay. Okay, action in the combat zone. During a military conflict, many factors will work against you, including emotions. Therefore, remember that in critical moments, you must maintain the ability to organize your actions, concentrate, and not react to possible provocations. Your safety will depend on it. If you are in a military conflict zone, it is recommended that you listen to the following recommendations. Always carry identification documents. Store money and documents in different places so you have more options to keep them. Keep information about your blood type and possible health problems, allergy, chronic diseases in the pocket of your clothes. Reduce the number of trips without a valid reason. Avoid crowded places. Memorize shelters that are close to your home, work, or places you visit often. What not to do. This isn't a very long list. I would think this would be like the rest of the book, but it's not. What not to do. Do not tell people of dubious reputation and strangers about your plans. Loose lips sink ships, right? Yeah. Do not argue with strangers to avoid possible provocation. Avoid convoys and do not stand near military vehicles. Do not take pictures or film if there are people in military uniforms nearby. Do not try to film their actions, even if you think they are illegal. Note to self. Do not observe the hostilities. Hide as soon as you hear shots. Hide as soon as you hear shots. Do not carry weapons or show military personnel anything that resembles a weapon, even just in shape. Do not take abandoned weapons or ammunition. Do not touch explosive or even just suspicious objects. Do not try to disassemble or move them. Even simple household objects can be mined. MINED. Instead, call the single emergency number 112 immediately. Now remember, this is not America. This is Latvia. Do not wear military uniforms, camouflage, or clothing with sleeves. Choose dark clothing that does not attract attention. Avoid any symbols as they may cause an unpredictable reaction. That's a boatload of stuff right there that's really good information. We're going to say page 39. Okay, now, we're going to stop right there. The next chunk is how to prepare for an enemy siege. To minimize casualties and maximize survival. Civilians must prepare. This chapter lists the most important areas where civilians need training. Y'all, that's you and me. We are the civilians. Here's the picture. Okay? So, the next chunk is, y'all, this is getting more and more serious as we walk along. It's not about food and water in 72 hours. It's about don't touch stuff, it could be mined. All right? That blows my mind. I tell you. I never thought I'd be living this. Did you? Did you? Some of you might have. And some of you who are way older may have already lived this and remember it. No. I've never thought this. And so I never thought I'd be reading things like this on here, on a video telling people around the world. Y'all, this video, I don't know what I'm going to entitle it. Something about preparing for World War III or get down, get ready. I don't really know. But that's all we're going to do in this. That's it. All right? If you don't know Jesus, now's the time. Find out who he is and commit your life to him. I do invite you to please, anything encouraging in the Spirit, in the Holy Spirit. We worship God, the creator of all things, God the Father, Son, Spirit. If you have any encouragement for each other, put it in the comment section. If you have concerns or things you're seeing in your area that are weird or different, dreams, visions, y'all, any of that, put it in the comment section. Let's read and glean from each other while we still can. While we still can. All right, that's all I have. Stay safe, America. This is Gina Lima Charlie. I'm out.